"Do you want something from me too, cowboy?" she asked, and waited to see if he'd lie. The twin suns of Taraxa, 7 hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the endless dunes of the desert. The heat was brutal, even for a human used to harsh worlds. Cole, Cowboy Mason, adjusted the wide-brimmed hat on his head and wiped the sweat from his brow. He had traveled these deserts before, but today felt different. The winds were sharper, the sand more restless, and something in the air carried a subtle, electric tension. Cole rode his hoverbike slowly, scanning the horizon. The convoy he was tracking had vanished 3 days ago, leaving nothing behind but twisted metal and scattered cargo crates. He had been sent to locate any survivors, or at least recover information. The planetary authorities suspected Taraxian scavengers, a rogue faction known for raiding human settlements. But Cole, a veteran of frontier worlds, trusted his instincts more than reports. Something about this mission felt off. The desert stretched endlessly ahead, its golden sands broken by jagged rocks and the occasional crystalline outcrop that shimmered under the suns. Cole slowed, noticing a figure in the distance, a lone human-shaped silhouette standing motionless against the heat haze. He squinted, shielding his eyes with one hand. "Hello," he called cautiously, his voice almost swallowed by the whistling wind. The figure did not move. As he approached, he saw her clearly. A woman, tall, with dark hair that caught the sunlight and eyes that seemed to pierce right through him. She wore a suit that looked human but seemed to shimmer faintly, as if alive. There was an aura about her that made the hairs on the back of his neck rise. Cole stopped his hoverbike a few meters away. "You lost?" he asked, keeping his voice steady. He had dealt with stranded travelers before, but something about her presence was different. She tilted her head slightly and smiled, not warmly, but in a way that suggested amusement and challenge at the same time. "Do you want something from me too, cowboy?" she asked, her voice calm and teasing. Cole blinked. Her words were strange, almost mocking, but there was an intensity behind them that made him pause. I don't understand," he said cautiously. "I'm just looking for survivors." Her smile widened. "Are you really?" she asked. "Or are you just trying to survive yourself?" Cole rubbed the back of his neck, uncomfortable. Most humans he met in the frontier were straightforward. They were scared, nervous, or desperate. This woman, she was none of those things. She was confident, unshaken by the harsh desert or the dangers around them. And her eyes, they were watching him, measuring him. "I'm doing my job," he said finally. "I track, I locate, I help if I can. That's all." She didn't respond immediately. She turned her gaze to the horizon, scanning the dunes. After a moment, she said, "Name's Lyra. You can call me that." "Cole," he replied, unsure if he should trust her or not. "Cole Mason." "And you, Lyra, right? Are you alone?" Lyra's lips curved slightly. "I prefer to be," she said. "But I can tolerate company if it's interesting." Her tone carried a subtle warning. She would not be pushed around. Cole noticed movement in the sand behind a rocky ridge. Small, fast shapes darted across the dunes. Taraxian scavengers, he realized immediately. They were observing, calculating. Cole's hand went to the blaster at his hip, ready for action. "Trouble," he muttered. Lyra's eyes flicked toward the movement, and for the first time her expression showed seriousness. She didn't hide it, didn't flinch. Instead, she stepped closer to him, calm and deliberate. "You're fast to judge," she said, almost as if reading his mind. "Not all things in the desert want to hurt you." Cole raised an eyebrow. "Yeah, some of them definitely do." She didn't reply. Instead, she extended a hand, almost casually, pointing toward a narrow canyon nearby. "Come this way." Safer ground. Cole hesitated. The scavengers were closing in, and moving into the canyon might give him better cover, or trap him. But something in Lyra's confidence made him follow. The sand shifted under his boots as they ran, the twin suns casting long, dramatic shadows behind them. Inside the canyon, the air was cooler, the walls creating a strange echo. Cole paused to catch his breath, glancing at Lyra. She seemed unaffected by the heat and exertion, her dark eyes scanning the rocky walls as if anticipating danger. "They're following," he said finally. "Taraxian scavengers." "Why are you here?" Lyra smiled faintly. "I'm here because I choose to be," she said. "I watch, I wait, I learn. That's all." Her words were simple, but there was an edge to them, a hint of something unspoken. Cole studied her. "You're not human?" he asked carefully, noticing subtle movements, tiny shifts in her skin, a faint glow in her eyes under the dim light. Lyra tilted her head, amused. I am human enough, she said softly, but not like you. Not exactly. Does that matter? Cole didn't answer. He didn't know what to say. He had faced aliens before, creatures with tentacles, armored hides, and strange abilities. But something about Lyra was different. She seemed alive in a way humans were not, and yet entirely human in other ways. The sound of shifting sand drew their attention. The scavengers had entered the canyon, their mechanical packs clinking against the rocks. Cole raised his blaster, ready to defend himself, and Lyra. But to his surprise, Lyra stepped forward, her hand raised calmly. A faint, shimmering barrier appeared, invisible to the eye at first, but enough to deflect the scavengers' energy blasts. Cole's jaw dropped. What the... Focus, Cowboy, Lyra said calmly. They're not here to negotiate. We need to move. Together, they navigated deeper into the canyon, using twists and narrow passages to outmaneuver their pursuers. Cole realized that while he relied on his skills, his guns, and his knowledge of terrain, Lyra had something else entirely, something that seemed like a natural extension of herself. Every step she took was precise, confident, and deliberate. They reached a small alcove where the scavengers could not follow. Cole leaned against the rock, breathing heavily. I've never seen anything like that, he admitted, still staring at her. Lyra leaned back against the wall, relaxed. It's not a trick, she said. It's who I am. You'll get used to it, if you survive long enough. Cole laughed softly, partly from relief, partly from disbelief. You're full of surprises, he said. Lyra's gaze met his. And you, Cowboy, are full of curiosity. That's interesting, too. For a moment, the canyon was silent, except for the distant sounds of the desert wind. Cole realized something important. This encounter was more than a random meeting. Lyra wasn't just a mystery. She was a puzzle, and he was already caught in her orbit. You know, he said slowly, I still don't understand what you meant when you asked me if I wanted something from you. Lyra's lips curved in that teasing, unreadable smile again. Some things, she said softly, can't be explained. You'll see soon enough. Cole shook his head, half in frustration, half in wonder. He had faced countless dangers across the galaxy, from hostile planets to deadly aliens. But this strange, confident woman, with her secrets, was unlike anything he had ever encountered. As the twin suns began to set, painting the canyon in shades of gold and crimson, Cole and Lyra settled down in the alcove. Cole kept one hand near his blaster, the other brushing the sand from his jacket. Lyra watched him with a faint, unreadable expression, and deep down, Cole realized that their journey together had only just begun. The desert of Tyraxa. Seven held many dangers, but some of the greatest challenges were not monsters or scavengers. They were secrets, trust, and the strange bond forming between a human cowboy and a woman who was not entirely human. The night settled over the canyon, quiet except for the occasional whisper of wind through the rocks. Cole couldn't sleep, not entirely, not with Lyra's question echoing in his mind. Do you want something from me too, Cowboy? He didn't know the answer yet. But he knew. One thing. Whatever this desert, this planet, and this mission held, he would face it head on. And for the first time in a long while, he felt curious. Truly curious. The night in the canyon was still, but sleep eluded Cole. He lay on a bedroll of salvaged fabric, staring at the jagged ceiling of the alcove. The desert outside was silent now, but his mind raced. Lyra sat a few meters away, her legs crossed, seemingly meditating, or just observing the shadows flickering in the firelight. Cole couldn't tell. Her calmness made him uneasy. You don't sleep much, Lyra said without opening her eyes. Cole shrugged. Not when the desert's this quiet. You never know what's hiding in the shadows. Lyra smiled faintly. Or maybe you're thinking too much. Humans have a strange habit of doing that. Cole raised an eyebrow. You make it sound like you don't. I observe, she said softly. Different thing entirely. Cole turned onto his side, trying to get comfortable. So, you're not human exactly, he asked again, the question lingering like the scent of ozone after a storm. Lyra opened her eyes, revealing pupils that seemed to catch the firelight and twist it into faint colors. Human enough to be understood, she said carefully. But I'm not like you. I see patterns, truth, and lies differently. Lies weaken me. Lies weaken my people. Cole frowned. Your people? Her gaze met his, sharp and unwavering. I am not alone in the galaxy. But for now, I travel alone. Cole studied her, trying to read what she didn't say. He had survived hostile planets, pirate attacks, and alien beasts, but understanding Lyra was another challenge entirely. He realized that to survive with her, he would need to be honest, no matter how difficult it might be. A sudden movement drew his attention. Outside the canyon entrance, shadows flickered against the rock walls. Cole grabbed his blaster instinctively. Lyra's eyes narrowed, and with a soft gesture, the shimmering barrier flared briefly, visible only to him for a split second. They're back, he whispered. Lyra didn't move. Only scouts. They are testing you. Testing us. Cole shook his head. Scouts? You mean scavengers? They call themselves scavengers, Lyra corrected, but they are more than that. They are curious. Dangerous if underestimated. Cole checked his gear. The scavengers had advanced weapons, small but lethal. We can't fight them out in the open. Not now. Lyra nodded, standing gracefully. Then we don't. We move. They packed quickly and slipped through a narrow crevice in the canyon wall, winding through tunnels only Lyra seemed to know. Cole followed, noting how the light shifted, how the walls seemed to twist and bend. Sometimes he caught glimpses of faint glows in the rocks, energy signatures he couldn't explain. Where are we going? He asked. To a place where the sand does not reach, Lyra replied. Where you will understand better. Cole didn't argue. He had learned long ago that following Lyra's lead was often safer than second-guessing her. As they walked, Cole tried to make small talk. So, do you always travel alone? Lyra glanced at him. Not always. But alone is easier, fewer complications, fewer lies. Cole frowned. You're obsessed with lies, aren't you? They matter, she said simply. Everything matters if the truth is hidden. Cole nodded slowly, thinking. Truth had always been important, but in the frontier, people often lied to survive. Somehow Lyra made him feel that honesty was more than just a virtue. It was survival. Hours passed as they navigated the labyrinthine canyons. The sun was rising now, its twin flames spilling over the horizon, painting the rocks in gold and crimson. Cole's stomach growled. He hadn't eaten since morning. Lyra, however, seemed unaffected. She moved with ease, almost gliding, as if the desert had no effect on her. They reached a ridge overlooking a valley filled with crystalline spires that jutted from the ground like frozen flames. Cole marveled at the sight. This place... It's incredible. Lyra nodded. Few humans ever see it. It is not kind to those unprepared, but it teaches those willing to observe. Cole squinted at the valley. You're going to teach me something, aren't you? Lyra smiled faintly. Perhaps, if you are willing to learn. Cole laughed softly. I'm always willing. Even if it kills me. Lyra's eyes twinkled with amusement, though she said nothing. Suddenly a loud crash echoed through the valley below. Cole's hand went to his blaster. What now? Lyra's eyes sharpened. We are not alone. Someone is here before us. They moved cautiously toward the source of the noise. Peering over a ridge, they saw a small group of humanoid figures dismantling a derelict alien probe. The figures wore crude armor, and their weapons emitted harsh red pulses of energy. Tyraxian scavengers. Cole's first instinct was to attack, but Lyra raised her hand. A faint hum emanated from her, and the scavengers froze mid-action, unaware of the invisible force pressing against them. We do not strike first, she whispered. We observe. Cole followed her lead, keeping low. He watched as Lyra subtly manipulated the environment. Sand shifted slightly, rocks fell, creating small distractions. The scavengers were cautious now, unsure of what was happening. Cole realized that Lyra's abilities were not just defensive, they were strategic, almost like chess pieces moving without touching the board. This is amazing, he muttered under his breath. Focus, cowboy, Lyra said softly. They test us. We test ourselves in return. Cole nodded, suppressing his awe. He was beginning to understand. Surviving with Lyra meant more than firepower or reflexes. It required observation, patience, and honesty. After several tense minutes, the scavengers retreated, muttering among themselves. Cole exhaled, lowering his blaster. Well, that was exciting. Lyra gave a faint smile. Exciting is not the word I would use. Necessary, dangerous, revealing. Cole scratched his head. Revealing? Revealing who you are, cowboy, she said. And who I am? Cole frowned, unsure what she meant. I'm just a ranger, a survivor. Lyra's eyes softened slightly. You are more. Humans are unpredictable, resourceful. That is why your kind survives where others fail. But you must choose honesty if you hope to continue. Cole blinked. Honesty? With you? Lyra nodded. With me? With yourself? With the universe? Lies are weaknesses. Weaknesses can get you killed. Cole thought about the scavengers, the harsh desert, and the strange bond forming between them. He realized she was right. He had relied on lies before, half-truths, clever tricks, but here, in Lyra's presence, only complete honesty mattered. They continued their journey down into the valley. The crystalline spires cast long shadows, creating a maze of light and dark. Cole had to focus on every step, aware of potential traps or hidden dangers. Lyra moved ahead effortlessly, her presence a calm anchor in the alien landscape. As they walked, Cole finally asked, Why are you really here? Lyra paused, her back still to him. I watch, I learn, I prepare. That is all I can say for now. Cole gritted his teeth. You're hiding something. I can feel it. Lyra didn't turn. Perhaps. Or perhaps you are merely curious. Curiosity can be dangerous in the desert. Cole smiled faintly despite the tension. Danger is what I do best. Lyra finally glanced at him, her eyes catching the sunlight in colors that seemed impossible. We shall see, she said simply. By midday they reached the edge of a small oasis, a strange anomaly in the harsh desert. Clear water pooled among smooth rocks, fed by a hidden spring. Cole knelt, drinking deeply, feeling the cool liquid revive him. Lyra watched silently, sitting on a rock and scanning the horizon. This is beautiful, Cole said, splashing water on his face. Beauty can hide danger, Lyra said, her voice calm but sharp. Do not forget that. Cole nodded, understanding. In this desert, survival depended on more than strength or skill. It required awareness, trust, and understanding the balance between curiosity and caution. As they rested, Cole realized one truth above all. He didn't fully understand Lyra yet, but he wanted to. And in this vast, dangerous desert, the desire might be the only thing that kept him alive. The suns climbed higher, casting harsh light over the valley. Cole and Lyra prepared to continue their journey, each aware that the next challenge could appear at any moment. And though danger loomed, an unspoken understanding began to form between them. Honesty, trust, and observation would be their greatest weapons. Cole glanced at Lyra, the question forming in his mind once again. Do I want something from her too? For now, he had no answer. Only a growing curiosity, and the knowledge that their journey had only just begun. The valley stretched before them, crystalline spires glinting like frozen fire under the twin suns of Turaxa. 7. Cole felt a strange mixture of awe and unease. Lyra moved ahead, her steps light and precise, as if she knew every contour of the alien terrain. Every now and then she paused to scan the horizon, her expression calm yet alert, like a predator sensing subtle shifts in the wind. Cole followed, his blaster slung across his back, his eyes constantly scanning the sparkling landscape. The Turaxian scavengers had retreated, but the desert was far from safe. He could feel that danger was still close, hidden, patient, and waiting for a moment of carelessness. Lyra suddenly stopped beside a tall spire, her hand raised. They are here, she said softly. Her voice was calm, but her tone carried an urgency that Cole had learned to respect. Cole squinted. Below them, near a crashed alien probe partially buried in sand, a group of figures was moving with methodical precision. The scavengers had returned, larger this time, better armed. Their energy weapons hummed with a dangerous red glow. Cole's jaw tightened. This was going to be a fight.
Lyra didn't panic.
Instead, she took a deep breath and gestured subtly. The air shimmered around her. Cole could see the faint outlines of a protective field forming, a barely visible distortion that seemed to ripple like water in the heat. They rely on confusion, she said softly. We rely on clarity. Watch and learn. Cole crouched, observing. As the scavengers approached the probe, Lyra's barrier subtly shifted the terrain. Sand sliding underfoot, rocks shifting just enough to force the enemy to step carefully. One scavenger tripped, another hesitated, unsure of the terrain. Cole realized that Lyra wasn't just defending, They were manipulating the battlefield without firing a single shot. Unbelievable, he muttered. It's like you're reading their minds. Lyra glanced at him, her eyes glinting. Not their minds. Their patterns. Every being has one. Once you understand it, you can predict their actions. Cole took note, realizing that his training as a human ranger was useful but limited here. Lyra's abilities were something else entirely, a combination of instinct, observation, and perhaps something beyond human comprehension. The scavengers paused, sensing the subtle shifts in the terrain. Their leader, a tall figure in black armor, scanned the area. He barked orders, and the group advanced cautiously, unaware that every step was being subtly influenced by Lyra. Cole readied his blaster. "Do I fire?" he whispered. "Not yet," Lyra said softly. "Let them reveal themselves fully first." The leader moved closer to the probe. Cole noticed the alien markings etched into its hull, faint symbols glowing faintly in the sunlight. Lyra's eyes flickered as she studied them. "That artifact," she murmured. "It holds knowledge. Power. Danger. We cannot let them take it." Cole nodded. He realized that this was more than a fight for survival. It was a test, a challenge that required both strategy and trust. Suddenly, the scavenger leader raised his weapon. The hum of the energy pulse filled the valley. Cole reacted instinctively, but Lyra's voice stopped him. "Wait! Watch the patterns!" The leader fired, and the energy beam struck a rock near Cole's feet, sending sand spraying. Lyra extended her hand, and the beam bent, redirected harmlessly into the sand. Cole's jaw dropped. "How—" "Focus, Cowboy," Lyra said. "The key is clarity, not strength." The scavengers advanced, their coordination impressive. Cole realized that brute force alone would not win this battle. They needed strategy, observation, and trust in each other. Lyra moved gracefully, directing subtle shifts in the terrain. The scavengers faltered, their formations breaking. Cole realized the truth of her earlier words. Honesty and clarity were weapons as powerful as any blaster. During the skirmish, one scavenger broke from the group and charged toward Cole. Instinctively, he fired, but Lyra's hand caught his arm, stopping him. "Observe," she whispered. The scavenger stumbled over a shifted rock, falling and disarming himself. Cole realized that Lyra's methods were about precision, not aggression. She taught him a lesson. Survival required understanding the environment and predicting actions, not just shooting first. After a tense few minutes, the scavengers retreated, leaving the probe untouched. Cole exhaled, lowering his blaster. "That was insane," he muttered. Lyra nodded. "They underestimated us. But they will return. The artifact is valuable. They will not give up easily." Cole studied the probe. Strange energy pulses radiated from it, faintly illuminating the surrounding sand. "What is it?" he asked. Lyra stepped closer, examining the symbols. "It is a key," she said softly. "A key to knowledge, to power. But it is dangerous in the wrong hands." Cole frowned. "And the scavengers? They seek power without understanding," Lyra said.
That is why they are dangerous.
"And why they will fail if we act carefully." Cole nodded slowly. He realized that this mission was no longer about survival alone. It was about responsibility. The artifact could change the balance of power in the galaxy if it fell into the wrong hands. As they examined the probe, Cole noticed something odd about Lyra. She seemed to hesitate, her eyes flickering with something unreadable. "Lyra, what are you not telling me?" he asked cautiously. Lyra paused, her gaze distant. "There is more to this mission than I can reveal," she said softly. "But you must trust me. Trust is the only way we will survive." Cole nodded, though unease settled in his stomach. He had always trusted his instincts, but Lyra was different. She demanded more than trust. She demanded honesty, clarity, and focus. Hours passed as they studied the probe. Lyra explained what she could about the symbols and energy fields, teaching Cole to recognize patterns and subtle shifts in the environment. Cole realized that he was learning not just from her abilities, but from her mindset, observation, patience, and strategic thinking. By the time the twin suns began to set, painting the valley in shades of gold and crimson, Cole felt a strange respect for Lyra. She was a mystery, yes, but also a teacher, guiding him through challenges he had never faced before. As night fell, they set up a small camp near the probe. Cole cooked a simple meal, while Lyra kept watch, her eyes scanning the horizon. The desert was quiet now, but Cole knew better than to trust the silence completely. "You're full of secrets," he said softly, breaking the quiet. Lyra glanced at him, her expression unreadable. "And you are curious. That is dangerous in this desert, Cowboy. Cole smiled faintly. Danger is what I do best. Lyra's eyes flickered with amusement. We shall see. Cole realized that her earlier question, "Do you want something from me too?" was more than a tease. It was a test, a measure of honesty and intent. He hadn't answered yet, and he knew he would need to, sooner or later. For now they rested, both aware that the scavengers would return, and that the artifact held secrets that could change everything. Cole understood that survival meant more than skill. It meant trust, observation, and understanding the balance between human ingenuity and Lyra's abilities. As the night deepened, Cole finally allowed himself a moment of reflection. The desert was harsh, the dangers real, but he felt alive. With Lyra at his side, he sensed that they could face anything the galaxy threw at him. And deep down he realized the truth. He did want something from Lyra. Not just her help, but her trust, her guidance, and perhaps something more he didn't yet understand. The stars above Tiraxa twinkled like distant diamonds, and the wind whispered through the crystalline spires. Cole knew that the journey ahead would test them in ways neither of them could yet imagine, but for the first time, he felt a bond forming, a partnership built on honesty, trust, and the strange, undeniable pull of the unknown. The twin suns of Tiraxa, 7 were setting, bathing the valley in deep orange and crimson. Cole Cowboy Mason crouched behind a jagged crystal spire, peering down at the alien probe that shimmered faintly with energy pulses. Beside him, Lyra moved silently, her steps almost floating, her eyes scanning every shadow. The scavenger leader had returned, larger than before, with a squad of mercenaries who moved with deadly precision. Cole's hand hovered over his blaster, but Lyra didn't look worried. Instead, she exuded calm, a quiet confidence that unnerved even him.
They are not human,
Cole whispered. They fight differently. Better coordination, stronger weapons. Lyra nodded. And they value power without understanding. That is their weakness, but it is still dangerous. We must act carefully. Cole studied the layout. The probe sat in the center of the crystalline valley, surrounded by jagged spires that could be used for cover or ambush. The scavengers spread out, forming a semicircle, preparing to advance. Cole realized this would not be a simple firefight. They would need strategy, observation, and trust in each other. Lyra crouched beside him, whispering instructions. You take the left ridge, observe patterns. Do not fire unless necessary. I will guide the battlefield. Together we will create an opening. Cole nodded, understanding the plan. He moved quietly, his boots barely disturbing the sand. He could hear the scavengers' voices, their orders sharp and mechanical. They were confident, but overconfidence could be exploited. Lyra extended her hand subtly, and Cole saw faint ripples in the air near the enemy's path. A small rock shifted, tripping one scavenger. Another stumbled over loose sand, and the rest paused, unsure. Cole's jaw tightened. Lyra was not just defending, they were controlling the battlefield, using observation and subtle manipulation instead of brute force. Suddenly the scavenger leader barked orders. Red pulses of energy fired across the valley. Cole dove behind a crystal spire just in time. Lyra's barrier redirected the blasts, protecting them both. Focus, Cowboy, she whispered. Observe, then act. Cole realized she was teaching him again how to survive not just by shooting, but by understanding patterns and anticipating actions. He raised his blaster, firing only when a scavenger moved in a predictable line, and even then he aimed not to kill but to disable. Each shot followed Lyra's subtle cues, creating small gaps in the enemy formation. Hours, or maybe minutes, time felt strange, passed as they danced through the valley. Lyra's abilities and Cole's human ingenuity complemented each other perfectly. The scavengers, frustrated and confused, began to make mistakes finally. The scavenger leader advanced alone toward the probe, determined to seize it. Cole saw an opening. He was ready to act, but Lyra stopped him with a calm hand. Observe, she said. Do not act out of fear. Cole hesitated. The leader raised his weapon, but Lyra's eyes glimmered with that strange, unearthly light. She whispered an incantation in her language, and the leader froze mid-step, his weapon lowering involuntarily. Cole blinked, realizing that Lyra's species thrived on honesty. Lies and deceit weakened them. The scavenger's aggression was based on greed and deception, and Lyra could exploit that. Cole finally understood. The artifact was not just a prize, it was a test. The scavengers represented power without truth. Lyra represented clarity, honesty, and strategy. The leader's eyes widened as Lyra approached him. Cole saw her glow intensify. The leader tried to resist, but his lies and ambition made him vulnerable. He dropped his weapon, collapsing to the ground. The remaining scavengers, seeing their leader defeated, hesitated and then fled. Cole exhaled, lowering his blaster. That was insane. Power without understanding is fragile. It always breaks. Cole glanced at the probe. Its symbols pulsed faintly, as if acknowledging their victory. So, we keep it safe? Lyra nodded. Yes, but more importantly, we understand it. Knowledge and responsibility are stronger than greed. Cole studied her, finally feeling the weight of her earlier question. Do I want something from her too? He realized he did. Not the artifact, not the power, but trust. Guidance. Partnership. Perhaps even something deeper he couldn't yet name. Lyra looked at him, her expression unreadable. Cowboy, you have been honest, with yourself and with me. That is why we succeeded. Trust is earned through truth, not words. Cole nodded slowly. Then, I trust you. And I want to continue this, whatever comes next. Her eyes softened, glimmering under the twin sun's fading light. I accept, she said simply. We will face the galaxy as allies, together. Cole felt a strange warmth, a sense of relief and camaraderie that he hadn't experienced in years. The desert had been harsh, dangerous, and unforgiving, but it had also forged a bond between him and Lyra. They were different, yet complementary. As night fell, the crystalline valley glowed faintly under the light of distant stars. Cole and Lyra sat near the probe, keeping watch, sharing stories of past journeys and near-death experiences. They laughed softly at the absurdity of some human superstitions and alien customs alike. For the first time, Cole felt a sense of belonging, not just as a human, but as part of a team capable of facing the galaxy's unknown challenges. In the quiet, Cole realized that the desert, the scavengers, and the artifact were only parts of a greater journey. The real challenge had been understanding trust, honesty, and partnership. And in Lyra, he had found someone who demanded nothing less than his best, while giving him the same in return. Cowboy, Lyra said softly, breaking the silence. The galaxy is dangerous. There will be more challenges, more beings who seek power without understanding. But you have learned, haven't you? Cole smiled faintly, adjusting his hat. I have. And I've learned that survival isn't just about guns or skill. It's about trust, honesty, and courage. With you, I think we can face anything. Lyra's eyes glimmered. Good. That is all I ask. Cole glanced at the probe, then back at Lyra. So, do we explore the artifact now? Lyra shook her head. Knowledge must be approached carefully. We have survived today. Tomorrow we learn, step by step. Cole nodded. He realized that the journey ahead would be long and filled with dangers, but he didn't feel fear. He felt anticipation, curiosity, and a strange sense of peace. Together, they had faced uncertainty, tested each other, and emerged stronger. The night deepened. The twin moons of Tyraxa. 7 rose, casting silvery light over the valley. Cole and Lyra kept watch, side by side, ready for whatever challenges the galaxy would throw at them. The desert had tested them, the scavengers had tried to break them, and the artifact had demanded understanding. But above all, they had learned the value of honesty, trust, and partnership. Cole finally allowed himself to relax, sitting back and looking at the stars. Lyra remained alert, but her presence was comforting rather than intimidating. He realized that the bond they had formed was rare, something that could survive the harshest trials the galaxy might offer. For the first time in years, Cole felt something more than survival instinct. He felt connection, respect, and the quiet excitement of facing unknown worlds with someone he could trust completely. The desert of Tyraxa. 7 stretched endlessly around them, filled with dangers yet unseen, mysteries yet uncovered, and challenges yet to be faced. But Cole and Lyra would face them together. Humans and alien, skill and strategy, trust and honesty, all aligned against whatever threats lurked in the stars. And as the twin moons shone over the crystalline spires, Cole realized the truth. The galaxy was full of dangers, yes, but it was also full of allies, wonders, and unexpected discoveries. And with Lyra by his side, he was ready for anything. Together they watched the stars, waiting for the next adventure, knowing that the bond they had forged in the desert would carry them through every challenge ahead.